And today's the 27th of June. It's a Shabbat, and it's about almost 8:45 in the morning here. It's 78 degrees. Is it going to get hot today? Yeah, be in the low 90s. 91 I'm reading, but still hot, you know. So we had a real crackpot situation again last night. Retaliation for Iran hitting that ship the other day. Now it's coming out that a drone hit it. They used the drone to hit it. America retaliated and hit two locations, basically going after their. I'm going to get rid of the glare with the glasses. They got rid of their missiles that were being used well, they didn't use a missile apparently to strike that ship. Now they're saying it was a drone. So if it was a drone, why did they strike the missiles? I don't know what really happened. I'm not sure they're telling us, so they might even know. I don't know. They probably know. The bottom line: Iran attacked that ship, and then America attacked Iran last night in at least two locations, hitting military equipment, predominantly missiles, near the Straits of Hormuz. Okay? Then the Iranians say they counterattacked and hit American bases in the region. The Americans are mum. They're not talking about whether or not that was true or not true. So we don't know yet. It's a possibility, slim though, but a possibility nonetheless, that Iran launched missiles at the American bases and the Patriots and the THAADs or whatever took it down. Or the missiles could have landed and caused explosions and they're just not going to tell us. They're both possibilities. Iran more than likely tried. If they said they were, launching missiles at the American bases, they did it. Maybe they launched drones or something, but they attacked, and then Lebanon, Israel, and America actually signed what they're calling a framework of a settlement peace deal, but it's not. It's like a preliminary to a real ceasefire, and you know, then Hezbollah is really lashing out at the Lebanese government for doing this, and they launched a missile at Israel this morning just to make sure that things stay hot and Iran can keep complaining about Lebanon and stuff like that. We'll get into what's going on. And there's problems with the ultra Orthodox again. And we're going to do an ancient manuscript translation today of Matthew 13. So let me get into my live stream and see what I can find out here. Let's see. There we go. And there we go. And we're looking good. All right, I'm going to put a post up in the live stream. We got moderator, thank you. All right, let me close this sound. No, I can't. I got to keep it open for a minute. All right, let me get my post up. That's usually seconds. Let's see if I got a typo here. Let's see. Um, no, we're all right. Okay, let me pin this thing. And we're good, I think. And just checking. We're good. All right, let's. I'm going to do some praise, which surprisingly most sites don't do, that say they teach Bible and stuff. But anyway, there is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 All right, now I'll get a prayer out. My Heavenly Father, Jehovah, I pray that the people that watch and listen that are willing will understand what the nations are up to. They will understand what you're doing and how you're fulfilling prophecy, and they will benefit from the translations from the very old texts. In this case, we'll be dealing with the New Testament basically, but and they won't be that old, but they'll be old. Anyway, I pray all this to you, my Heavenly Father, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. I would ask that you pray for the mommy dog. She just was barfing. I don't know what she ate. She was eating grass or something. So please pray for mommy dog to get healed up. I don't think it's that serious, but something's going on. Not having to vomit anymore. Thank you. Wait, I'll pray you could agree. My Heavenly Father, Jehovah, I pray for the mommy dog to be healed up and not have to barf anymore. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and you can agree with that. Now we have a prayer request from for a person that is of the Mohammedanism belief system trying to bother a believer couple and trying to cause a breakup, or I don't know all the details, but the person that's causing the problems, apparently intentionally, has got the initials VK, Victor Kilo, VK, Victor Kilo. So in this case, I'll do the toss and you can agree, okay? So, my Heavenly Father, Jehovah, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, I submit to you this loosing of any and all unclean spirits out of this VK person immediately, and I do this B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and I cancel any and all witchcraft or sorcery, spells, enchantments, or any other evil works this particular person has done or is planning to do. I cancel all such things, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. They're of no value or effect forever. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and you can agree with these things. Okay. Person we're trying to help is a new mom and has, let's say, a full plate without needing this. Okay. I believe one of us is gone. When the last I heard was in a hostel and not responding anymore to my communication, so I believe he's not on Earth anymore. Okay. the IRGC Guard Corps gave no details on the targets they went after, but after the U.S. struck them, uh, America hit missile sites, drone sites, and radar sites in response to their drone attack on a commercial vessel in the Straits of Hormuz. So, yeah, the radar makes Iran blind. So, not literally, but it makes it easier for ships to pass through, staying away from Iran, staying more on the other side. But the problem is Oman's on the other side. Oman's a dirty dog, okay? Um, they're all dirty dogs, all these dictators. Oman's got a king or a sultan or an emir or some garbage like that. It's another word for dictator, That's all. And they're a really garbage bucket country. I guess they're right up there with Kuwait when it comes to being a garbage bucket country, but they're all no good. So they're trying to walk with Iran. They made an announcement to Europe. Oman did. See, Iran recruited Oman as a partner in this charging tolls for ships passing through the Persian Gulf. Iran is on, let's say, the northern side of the Persian Gulf, and Oman is right by the opening there, but it's on the southern side, southeast maybe, but southern. So they got both sides covered. So it's not that easy for a ship to just slip through. But Iran doesn't sit there with binoculars and watch. They're running radar. And I don't know what Oman has. They probably got radar too. So Oman, America, knowing Trump is probably, he's afraid to attack Oman, even though they're just as guilty as Iran. Uh, and this is what we get with Trump. All right. So to make this plot that Trump is trying to make work, he has to make sure that Oman has no radar. Now, maybe they don't have any radar, but I doubt it. I'm pretty sure they do. So they can spot the ships. It's stupid what Trump does, okay? And, it's not real bright. And Vance and Trump are going to sit there and today they're not going to say anything. Tomorrow they're going to tell you, here's what you're going to hear. Oh, Iran wants a deal, Oh my gosh, why don't you just sell us a bridge connecting New York to the moon, for crying out loud, then he's going to go on with, what else will he say? We're talking and we're making progress. What a liar. What progress? They're attacking ships. So Oman tells Europe, we're never going back to the way it was in the Gulf before the war. Okay, Iran and Oman are not giving up, okay? They're going to continue managing the Gulf. They're going to continue charging tolls. They're not stopping. And Trump and Vance are going to sit there and serve you a peanut butter and barbed wire sandwich and tell you it's a T-bone steak. You don't win, you don't get anywhere by being a liar like this. Man, unbelievable. The Vance was talking about them, J.D. Vance, the vice president. he was talking and saying, well, the next time there's an issue that pops up over the Persian Gulf, pick up the phone and call us. What do the Iranians say? The Iranian Revolutionary Guards deny the establishment of a hotline with the U.S. regarding the Straits of Hormuz. The claims by American officials that a direct line of communication has been established with Iran regarding the Strait of Hormuz are a complete lie. The Strait of Hormuz is Iranian, and the United States has no connection to it. There has not been, and there will not be, any line of communication with Washington on this matter. So Iran is saying we're controlling the Straits of Hormuz, and they're doing it with Oman. They don't deny that. They're very open about that. And it's not open for discussion. See, Iran just went back into this deal with the United States to get a better deal out of the United States. What I think they're gunning for is more total humiliation of Trump. Okay? They're trying to drive a wedge between Israel and America, and they're trying to drive a wedge between Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and America. Why all these countries? Because they're showing these countries that Iran, they being Iran, attacked them voraciously, and Trump really didn't do a lot about it. And now they're showing them that Trump is stabbing Israel in the back with Lebanon. Okay? And they have come to the realization, loud and clear, that Trump will stab them in the back. Now, there are commentators saying that the only way out of this for these countries is to go to Israel and, try to become allied with Israel. That ain't going to happen. Israel is only way too happy to watch Iran and them destroy each other. Enemy of my enemy. They don't consider these countries friends of theirs. You can't trust them. Now, this is Prime Minister Netanyahu in a recording from before the start of the Sabbath on the agreement with Lebanon. We will remain in the security zone until Hezbollah is disarmed. Security zone should be Litani River to the border. I'm rather certain that's what it means. It's 17 to 18 miles because the river meanders, from the border. There will be a pilot in 2 areas from which the IDF will withdraw, and the Lebanese army will enter. The areas were chosen based on the IDF's recommendation. Okay. Now, this is... it's stupid what it is. We tried this before for months, and the Lebanese army was unwilling to do anything. What Trump doesn't want to accept, his denial of reality, is the Hezbollah and the Iranians are Shiite Muslims. 60% of the Lebanese army is Shiite Muslims. They're going to do nothing. Trump is so dumb, he thinks that he's going to take American negotiation tactics and ideology and shove it down the throat of Muslim fanatics that are ready and willing to die for their cause. He's so wrong, and he's been proven wrong time and time again. And his only response to that is lying. You know, and there's a lot of survivalists, a lot of preppers, a lot of gun people that know this, and there's a few that talk openly about it. Most of them are talking about it, but softly. They don't come out like me. Some do. And this morning, Hezbollah sent a rocket into Israel, which means Israel's going to retaliate, which means that they're just rocking the apple cart to make sure that there's no signs of any quieting down. And Iran tells Hezbollah what to do. Believe me, Hezbollah didn't just fire a rocket into Israel and then pick up the phone and call the IRGC guy and say, hey, you'll be happy to know I sent a missile in a little while ago. No. It's Iran general calls him and says, hey, send a missile into Israel. Yeah, okay, boss. That's how that goes. This is the, I believe, Hezbollah talking. Let the Zionists know, those who have stood and fought against you, the followers of Yazid, with the spirit of Ashura and the Husseini faith, carry the eternal belief that every day is Ashura and blah blah blah. Okay, that's a religious barking. And must leave all of Lebanon because this land is a field of steadfastness and resistance, not a place for occupiers to roam freely. We roam freely? That's not the case. If you do not withdraw by your own choice today, tomorrow you will inevitably flee in humiliation and defeat. He's talking to America now, or I don't know who he's talking to. Israel? I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, they bark all these threats. It's perpetual with them. When they get highly specific, you know, like you attack them and then they say we're going to respond, they usually do. But this is just the general broad, more of religious broadcasting than anything else. I wouldn't pay a lot of attention to that. Okay. The Iranian Foreign Ministry against the summary statement by Marco Rubio and the Gulf states. Iran also warns against passage through the Straits of Hormuz without its coordination. This is what the Iranian foreign minister announced. Tehran News, the joint statement by the U.S. and the Gulf states as interference in its internal affairs, irresponsible, and a provocation. Tehran warns against continued hostile conduct in the region. Iran expects that the countries in the region whose territory was used for aggression against Iran will reconsider their position. Safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz is not guaranteed by alternative shipping routes or decisions made while ignoring our considerations. Any arrangement regarding the Strait of Hormuz must be made in coordination with Iran and in accordance with Article 5 of the Memorandum of Understanding, which is where they probably wrote they're going to be controlling the Persian Gulf. But I think Trump is seeing the futility of that. Trump has not yet spoken that he realizes the futility of attempting to make a ceasefire with them, and that Netanyahu was right. It's just a waste of time. But I would hope he's getting there. He better be getting there. Israeli Navy is hosting a German delegation vessel. It's a warship, a destroyer, I believe, at Haifa base, the Navy base in Haifa. The Israeli Navy hosted German delegation where both sides conducted passing exercises and discussed a expanding naval collaboration. Think about Iran. Germany was one of the three nations that moved with the UN Security Council to impose the snapback sanctions. It was Germany, the UK, and France. So Germany was not afraid to put themselves in the hot seat with Iran. And they might be thinking that they're going to have to take some sort of actions, or this closing of the Persian Gulf is going to cause a lot of trouble, and they might be realizing that Trump doesn't have the guts for it. Now, Germany and Israel working together, that's one thing. A Muslim majority country working with Israel, that's pretty, I don't think that could work. So Rubio stepped in here and said there was a framework agreement. They're calling it a framework between Lebanon and Israel, a step towards peace. See, this is why I believe Trump has lost his marbles. The Lebanese government and Israel are not fighting. Their soldiers don't shoot at each other. They don't shell each other. We don't bomb their soldiers. Their soldiers don't launch missiles into Israel. It's Hezbollah, who is not a party to this peace deal. So Trump is, again, trying to give you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with barbed wire in it and telling you it's a T-bone steak. You don't sign a peace deal with somebody that's not in the deal. You know, it's stupid. Do you understand how stupid it is? Okay, that's a sign of somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. And this somebody who doesn't know what he's doing has been, with the Iranian situation, has proven much worse than Barack Obama and Joe Biden combined. And they were pretty bad. He's worse. He just gave them $19 billion rather, from their sanction money, and they're taking over the Persian Gulf. They're saying, well, Israel's, being mean over there and they don't want to stop fighting with Hezbollah, and then they have Hezbollah launch a missile at us as soon as this peace deal thing gets signed. between Lebanon and Israel. Something's really wrong with Trump, or he thinks we're so stupid that we're going to believe making a peace deal or a ceasefire or whatever with Lebanon has meaning when we're not fighting Lebanon. Do you understand how stupid this is? Okay? But a lot of people in the world are stupid. You know, if I went around and did a survey in New York or Miami and I was going around telling the people here, I'll give you a candy bar or something if you answer the survey, what part of Indiana is the Indian Ocean in? They'd buy that. You think I, if I was doing a survey and I asked them where the state of, and I made up a name of a state that sounded good, like, you know, North Westminster is. Where is the state of North Westminster? They probably say they don't know. But that'd be a bad name. That sounds too British. I'd have to get something else like, you know, where is the state of Hoboken or something like that? You know, they're pretty dumb. People are pretty dumb. Okay. You've got like third, fourth generation welfare people in America, and they don't care about going to school. I mean, when they're little and they gotta go, or the social workers come and tell them if you're not going to have the kid go to school, we're going to take the kid away and put the kid in foster family. And that means you lose your benefits, the money coming in for that kid. So they keep the kid going to school until, I don't know, when the kid reaches an age where they won't take the kid away, which is, I don't know what that is. It's probably between 14 and 18. I don't know where, but they probably, I would think at a 16-year-old, they're not going to pull the kid out because the kid doesn't go to school, because to put the kid in a foster home is not going to go to school with a foster home either. So I think that's that. The There's a warning in Lebanon of civil war now. Um, the U.S. Said that the framework establishes a process for dismantling Hezbollah and for Lebanon to regain territory that was taken by Israel forces um, as they battled the militant group. Yesterday, Israel was burning houses that were, you know, involved with Hezbollah. So they don't want them moving back into the south. Look, I tell you the truth. If there was no Hezbollah in Lebanon, I don't believe Israel would be fighting with Lebanon. And they're really not fighting with Lebanon. That's the idiocy of the Trump administration. They're fighting with Hezbollah. So now Hezbollah is talking about a civil war. They're talking about overthrowing the government and just taking over. And I think they'll do it. And do I think they'll be successful? Yes. Yes. So what I'm saying, I believe they will overthrow the government and they will be successful. And they'll be running the government. And then the war will ensue. And then you see Lebanon open up your doors, let the cedars of Lebanon burn. That's the prophecy. You'll see that happen. But we won't completely wipe them out because they're not all dirty dogs. Okay? It's the Hezbollah. But a lot of Lebanon, I would guess 2/3 or more than half anyway, are Muslims that are going to sympathize with Hezbollah and probably join their ranks. Plus, Iran will try to send reinforcements over there. But what's going to happen now is, it probably already happened. Iran's going to start sending tens of millions of dollars frequently to the Hezbollah. Okay? They just got 19 billion. What do they care about sending 50 million over there? You know, when you're dealing with 50,000 or 70,000 Hezbollah, and you give them $50 million or $100 million, it goes a long way. Now, this is interesting. The U.S. will facilitate, however we're supposed to interpret facilitate, facilitate means make possible, pretty much, a newly created military coordination group for Lebanon to implement the framework the State Department said, while committing 100 million in humanitarian assistance. So Trump, instead of giving the people of America a $2,000 stimulus check that he was talking about and never did, supposed to be in the spring, you're in the summer now, he just came up with $100 million for humanitarian assistance in Lebanon. You can go pipe sand. He's going to go help other countries. He doesn't want to help the poor people in America. He hates the poor people of America. Tell me what he does for them. Touting Lebanon deal, the prime minister, that's Netanyahu, says it allows Israel to maintain buffer zone and bars Lebanese from returning to it. So it's not that bad, okay? It's a lot of fluff, and Trump is trying to get involved over there with this coordination thing, and he thinks he's threatening Iran or threatening, you know, Hezbollah. They have no regard for Trump. They respect Trump as much as they do a flea. They don't care about him. They don't believe he'll do anything. But Iran will get madder at Trump over this. There were multiple reports that Iranian Kurdish forces attacked the IRGC in Iran. This was not a real serious march against the IRGC. It was ambushing. Now, I don't know if the Kurds came in from another country. It seems to be there were Kurds living in Iran. So they probably struck the IRGC suddenly with the element of surprise, probably killed and wounded a bunch of them, and then just disappeared into the landscape. I doubt they would stay there and wait for the tanks to come. Could this be America and or Israel? Yeah. These Kurds are an ally of America. Israel likes them too. I think they're lost tribes myself, but I can't prove it. So, yeah, it's possible, but the Kurds are capable of doing it on their own. The Congress is kicking around whether or not to sell F-35 jets to a country that for many years talks about annihilating Israel, called Turkey. It appears that Vance and Trump want to do this, and it also starting to look like Congress isn't liking it. They made a $700 million sale of engines for jets. These are probably F-16 engines, because the Turkey has a lot of these for many years. Probably their engines are wearing out, frequent parts needed. F-35s are at least $100 million a throw, and to set up for it, they're going to buy 25. They're not going to get 6 or 7. But they got to buy flight simulators. They got to get the mechanics trained, parts inventory, special tools, diagnostic computers, all sorts of stuff. So you wouldn't do that for, 5 or 6 planes. You would do it for 25. This is something that Turkey and, that Obama and Joe Biden never did to Israel. That Trump's doing. Who is Trump good for? Let's see. The Republicans turned on him the other day by passing that bill about not only telling Trump not to attack Iran, but to start withdrawing American forces. He got some reversal on that. NATO doesn't like him. They didn't come to his aid with Iran. Europe, the EU doesn't like him. I don't know how Taiwan feels about him. China doesn't like him. North Korea doesn't like him. Russia doesn't like him. I don't know who likes him. Who's his friend? If I told the people Hawaii likes the United States, I just stop people in the street, they would agree. I mean, if I told them, well, they're not a state, they're so far away, how could they be a state? They would agree. South Korea would likely never open a mouth up about Trump. They sell a massive amount of products in America. And America has a base over there. A big base, 28,000 people. They're not going to open a mouth. Taiwan won't. Japan, push comes to shove, they're kind of an ally of America in the region. I don't think they'll do anything elsewhere. and they sell a fortune in goods here. Well, here, not I'm in Israel, to America. Um, Toyota, Datsun, Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, uh, and Sony, and keep going. They have Seiko, Casio, Citizen watches. It just keeps going. It loads of stuff. So they don't want to rock the boat. They won't say anything. Mexico don't like Trump. Canada don't like Trump. UK don't like Trump. Although we got a new guy in there. Spain doesn't like him. France doesn't like him. Italy doesn't like him. He's a real problem. Vance is very similar to Trump the way Joe Biden was to Obama. Blind faith. Also, the way John Kerry was with Obama, you know. Pretty weird, and so what can we expect Trump to do now? Well, Iran and Trump have a problem over the Persian Gulf. Trump opened it up. Trump lifted the sanctions so Iran can sell oil, and they're doing a lot of it. And at the same time, Iran goes out there and wants to charge tolls for ships to come through. They want to only let ships through that they want to let through. While at the same time, Trump opens it up for them. So what is Trump likely to do? If he closes the Persian Gulf to break the back of Iran economically, he's got a long wait. He just gave him $19 billion, and they must have taken in a couple of billion. $2 billion or $3 billion in oil revenue already, and that number's climbing by the week. So trying to freeze them out, you have to start all over again, they're trying to blame Israel for what's going on in Lebanon, and they're cranking it up with Hezbollah. The reason Trump was talking about putting the military bases in Israel is because Iran told the Gulf states, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, and Saudi, and Jordan, that they hope they change their thinking on the American bases. So they might be telling Trump to take the bases out, because Iran's basically going to talk to him and say, if you didn't have the American bases there, we never would have attacked you. Just take the bases out and we're friends. But since they're controlling the Persian Gulf, they're only going to let oil tankers go through, coming or going, where they get reassurances that that oil is not going to be sold in US dollars. And if we pick the higher figure, which is probably the true one, 25% of the oil goes through the Persian Gulf. So, by cutting that much oil off from being traded in dollars, they're going to weaken the dollar and it's going to drop in value again. And that's what Iran's going after. They want to break America financially. They may also tell the countries that they can't trade in oil in the euro. That could happen. I'm not so sure it will, but it could. So these countries are basically finished with Trump then. They're selling oil off the US dollar only, and they got the American bases to close. I think what will happen is there's about 50,000 in these American bases, and I think Trump will probably send perhaps 30, 35,000 home, and just put 10, 15, maybe 20,000 in America, in Israel. They could live off base in Israel. Landlords would love to take them in. They need furnished apartments. It's going to be a little bit of a rough spot, but they could figure it out. It'll drive rents up. Landlords love to get the UN soldiers in their apartments. Oh, they love that. UN sends families here with the soldiers some of the time. They go to private schools. They can't go to the Israel public school because they're not citizens or permanent residents. So they go to a private school, and they, they usually speak be a school in English, probably. So yeah, they might. I don't know. Trump might put 25, 30,000, or 50,000 up in Israel. I don't know. No idea. Netanyahu won't care. Will the Israeli people care? Nah, they won't care. What they'll say, oh, they'll be spending money. It's good for the country. Yeah, they're right. Uh, yeah. So Trump managed, as stupid as Obama and Biden were, Trump managed to lose. I think this has happened already. Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE. He lost Oman because they went to Iran. And I don't think Jordan's going to pull from America. I don't believe that'll happen. But Saudi Arabia pretty much already made the announcement. So, not exactly, but they said you can't trust America anymore because they don't even take care of their own stuff. So that means he's out. So he did a worse job than Biden and Obama combined, and they were both bad. But wow. But people, you see, they don't know this because they're still sitting there eating their peanut butter and jelly with barbed wire sandwich, calling it a steak. Barbed wires have spikes and pointed objects on them. You can't chew barbed wire. Okay. Oh, he's trying to give you a meal you can't chew. Okay. It's so absurd. You'd have to be a nut to believe it. Okay. Well, he has no deal with Iran. He never did. He had a signing from Iran, but that's what they're taught in their Quran. Make deals for your own advantage and break them when it's convenient. That's what they learned from the Quran. So, you know, Trump doesn't believe that. Do I think Trump's going to get out there and just start bomb Iran? No. No, he doesn't have the guts to do it. I tell you the truth right now, I don't think Trump knows what to do right now. He's sitting there bouncing around trying to figure it out. You can't make a deal with these guys because there is no deal. They write their own ticket. The only thing you could do is you could either submit to them or destroy them. When he talks like that, then he woke up. That's when he wakes up. So, and we got Netanyahu. You guys got Trump. We got Netanyahu. They're both bad. Netanyahu is by far more treacherous. Let me tell you what happened with the ultra Orthodox, and you see something. This is scary. Yeah. I'll explain to you why the Israelis are getting scared when you see this. Dozens of protesters blocked the road in Bnei Brak in demand for ultra Orthodox military draft. Now, the wording isn't clear, but I'll explain. Bnei Brak is near Tel Aviv. It's a ultra Orthodox community, right? It's maybe even in Tel Aviv or adjacent to Tel Aviv. So, a bunch of women, mothers of soldiers, did a protest and said, why the heck should your kids be exempt from the military? Why? What are you, the Aryan Jews or something? So the demonstration was led by Mothers of Soldiers group. They said police officers stood by and watched as they were attacked by ultra Orthodox men. I cried out to one of them, the police, and he simply didn't move. So Netanyahu told the police not to do anything, to stand down when the ultra Orthodox beat the women up. Ultra Orthodox men came out and hit women. Because the women dared to have the audacity to say, this is discrimination. You're raising yourself to you're elevating yourself to be super Jews better than us. And that's exactly what the ultra Orthodox are doing. And Netanyahu gets the police to not do anything because he needs these ultra Orthodox for his election, and he wants to arrange it so they don't have to go to the military to get the votes. So he sells us out to just stay in office, you know? But the scary thing is the police listened. Women are getting beat up by ultra Orthodox men because they don't want to go in the army, and the women are mad, and the police just watch them get beat up. Could this affect the elections? See the thinking here? I don't think the people of Israel are ever going to be able to get rid of Netanyahu. It's just going to be God doing it. I don't think they can get rid of him. I don't think he's going to lose. I don't know how he's going to win. I don't know what application he's going to take, but I don't think they can get rid of Netanyahu. He's a curse. God will have to lift it. Now we go to Lebanon again. Hezbollah supporters riot in Beirut. These are Shiite Muslims, that's their supporters. They rioted in Beirut, the capital. And they were rioting about the Israeli-Lebanon framework deal that just got signed. Supporters of the terror group, which is Hezbollah, waved Hezbollah flags, torched vehicles, and clashed with Lebanese security forces after Israel and Lebanon announced a U.S. brokered framework agreement. So this is not going to be the last of the riots. Israel has no place going in there and breaking up these riots. Nor does America. Nobody's going to break these riots up, and what are they going to do? Burn cars, attack the security forces of Lebanon. Then they're going to start burning buildings belonging to the government, opening jails, and that's your revolution, and it keeps progressing. So I believe Trump messing around with Lebanon's going to fall. if he starts going in militarily and attacking Hezbollah, what will Iran do? Well, if the Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, and Jordan, Saudi Arabia all get rid of the American bases, the Iranians will for sure not attack them anymore, especially if they tell them to sell off the US dollar and they comply, which I believe they will. So, what will Iran do? They don't have any American military bases to launch missiles and drones at. They're probably going to fail if they try to attack American warships. They could attempt to hit Israel, but then Israel's going to go back and bomb them no matter what Trump says. So what would Iran do? Internet cables is their next trump card to play, unintended. They could hit the internet cables. Charge tolls and stuff to use the cables. They'll go put more mines in the Gulf to make it more impossible for ships to pass unless they go right near their shoreline. But pulling the bases out of these countries, may not cut it. The Iranians may still attack these countries to cause economic chaos. They'll tell them, we're not attacking your people. We're giving you an evacuation order. Get out of these oil fields. Tuesday at, 11 a.m., we're blowing them up. Get away from this refinery. Wednesday at 2 p.m., we're blowing it up. You've got to be in the fight against these infidels, that kind of thing. All right. This deal that Lebanon signed with Israel is the first de facto recognition of the state of Israel by Lebanon ever since 48. So they actually came out and recognized that Israel is a state or a nation. Personally, I could care less what they think. The people that are not the Shiite Muslims are not bad people up in Lebanon. They don't like Israel. They don't care for Israel. But they're not, they're pretty far from getting up in the morning and saying, let's go kill the Jews and invade Israel. They're not that way. I'm checking the live stream. Looks like we just have. Oh, someone says they're also a cone. Good. Norway. There's a lot of people in Norway that love Israel. This I am well aware. You got a government these days that hates us, but the people in Norway are not that way. There's many people in Norway that love Israel, and I mean really love Israel. And they'll put actions up to support that position too. just checking the live stream to see if I had anything I had to deal with. Okay, so that's the news. Um, Whatever Trump's going to do isn't going to work unless he wipes Iran out. That's it. That's the only thing he can do. He doesn't know it yet, but that's it. Or he could just forget about it and walk away. They'll leave him alone. They won't leave the Middle East alone, but they'll leave the Middle East. And what they'll do is they'll take the oil over in the Middle East and they'll make everybody sell it off the US dollar, which will hurt America. And that's why America doesn't want to leave. And that's why America wants to put their soldiers on the bases that are in the other Gulf state nations, move the bases into Israel. He has a lot of manpower here in Israel that can easily be deployed, and Israel is very, very well protected, so the chance of damage is pretty small. Israel is not afraid of Iran. On the contrary, they're always ready and willing to destroy Iran. It's America that saves Iran. America is, in reality, in some ways, one of the best allies that the Iranians have, but it's kind of a joke to phrase it that way. All right, let's deal with the Bible. So we're going to do Matthew 13. Let me get to my starting point here. Hold on. We're going to do Matthew 13 using Salkinson's Hebrew New Testament, which is based on older texts. And let me get there and then I'll tell you what we're going to do. Hold on. Salkinson worked the Greek back into Hebrew by simply, he took the Greek word in the New Testament, found where it appeared in the Old Testament, what the Hebrew word was, and then took that Hebrew word. See, in the Septuagint, 70 Jewish people, about 250 years before Yeshua came to earth. So it was pretty sanitized. There was no anti-Yeshua bias put in there because they didn't know who Yeshua was or anything. So it was done it took it from the Hebrew to the Greek. So Salkinson but that's just Old Testament, took the Greek New Testament, found the word in the Septuagint, the Greek Septuagint, and then looked in the Masoretic text, the Old Testament, to see what word the Greek replaced in Hebrew, captured a Hebrew word, and plug it into his New Testament. If you could follow that, that's what he did. It was a reverse translation. The other guy that about the same time in the 1880s so Salkinson was prioritizing the poetic phraseology and idiomatic symmetry from the Hebrew. It's like poetic and like a song when they sit there. Mathematical, you might say they rock like that. It's called davening, praying. And Delitzsch was more of a churchianity guy, okay? But we'll use the two as a comparison, and I'll show you. Now these are very old works, not so much that they're 1880, but Salkinson was basically digging back into, works that was, many, many centuries old, basically, um, and they were using Sweet's Old Testament, but as a reverse transaction thing, and they were using Codex Sinaiticus, which goes back to about 400 A.D. and different things. Okay, now we're gonna start with verse 1, and we'll do basically Salkinson, and then when I see there's something different that Delich has, we'll bring that out too. Okay, so I have both of them next to each other. All right. AI translated it based on my criteria. By the way, on AI, ChatGPT is coming out with 5.6. There are 5.5. 5.6 is a revolutionary change. I don't like ChatGPT right now, but I'm considering staying with it because of the 5.6 update, which should be interesting. Um, when they came out with 5.6 a few weeks ago, people were going there and saying, you see, AI is a tremendously good coder. In other words, they make apps and programs and websites and videos and stuff like that. It knows a ton about, things like that. So they were saying, well, you know, show me where my vulnerabilities are. I want to protect. So it was going in and showing the vulnerabilities to the people that were called programming or coders. So somebody got the bright idea, some hacker, that you just tell this ChatGPT 5.6, show me how to fix the vulnerabilities here, and you direct them to, a Bitcoin broker or transaction place or a bank or a big company or something like that, and AI would go in and tell you where the vulnerabilities are, and then you could hack in. So it was the greatest cyber warfare tool ever invented, likely. So the government came out with a memorandum where you could say, from the White House, telling, you know, uh, the people that behind ChatGPT, they got to stop it. So they took it off the market, but people are still running around with it, and they blocked it from being able to do stuff like that. Their security protocols that they put on it don't affect me. They're not interested in language translation of ancient texts as a serious vulnerability. They don't care about that. Okay? They're concerned with things involving hurting other human beings, any which way you want to do that. Okay? Uh, there's a million things you could do to hurt other people. It doesn't want to do that. Um, it doesn't want to do hacking. It doesn't want to, you know, how can I rob this guy? How can I fraud this? It won't do stuff like that. And medical stuff, it seems to be blocked in some areas, and it has some political blocking on it. Uh, and it has this sex stuff, role playing videos, pictures. It doesn't do a lot of things that the uncensored does. So, ChatGPT, there's people that have code they give away for free, and you could download it, and I don't think it works anymore, but it did work, getting you to uncensor Chat GPT. It might, people might still have the existing version of Chat GPT that's uncensored, um, but the new one, I don't believe you'll be able to do it anymore. So they're not worried about stuff like this, okay? Like what we do. I also use it for shopping. If I want to buy something and I can't find it in Israel because people aren't shipping to Israel, and not just Israel, they don't want to ship to the Middle East, to UAE or Saudi or, Jordan, a lot of countries because of the war. And there has been a lot of major interruptions or disruptions of shipping, so they don't want to ship here. So you've got to get stuff, it's hard to find stuff that'll ship here, but it's very difficult. So some of these AIs are very good at helping you find things. There's one that's absolutely fantastic called Perplexity, but I can't afford it. It's like $20, $30 a month, but if you send it on about 3, maybe 4 shopping expeditions where it's got to dig around a lot, it uses up all your tokens for the month. So you can't use it for the rest of the month unless you buy more tokens, like $10 at a time. So that's stupid. I deleted it. I canceled the order and deleted it. I don't see that. That's a ripoff. It's a good product, better than all the others for shopping, but they're ripping you off. Okay, what is better about them? Well, they go in and they find the Perplexity actually finds the product, tells you the price, and tells you if they ship to Israel, how they'll ship to Israel, what the price will be for ship to Israel, what the price is for the object. And when you're dealing with the other AIs, it tells you, oh, you could buy it here or you could buy it there. And then you go and you find out that the web page that it told you to go to is a 404 error. It's old, out of date information. Or you find out they won't ship to Israel. Or you find out that it's a current place, but they're out of stock. Um, it's sloppy. It's not good. And when I say that about Claude, which is supposed to be good for shopping, Chat GPT, and even Gemini. The better, those are the 3 big ones. Grok dropped out. Nobody's really taking Grok seriously. That's the Twitter place, X. That's their AI. It's not being taken seriously too much anymore. It's not a contender. Gemini is the best of the 3. That's the Google. But I have one that's called AI AI Intelligence, I think, or AI Pro. So I have an upgrade, 1 or 2 level upgrade. It says $20, $30 or something, $40 a month, something like that. And that's awfully good. It's really, really good. Okay. And it has censorship, though. But it doesn't censor language translation. It can't. They're not interested in that kind of stuff. They're not interested in history. They're not trying to sit there and brainwash you. If you said to it, well, the world is square because the earth says, the Bible says this and that, then it'll tell you that you're in a cult and it's not true. That's the censorship you get, okay? You get stuff like that. But if you want to talk to it about the errors in the church doctrine, it'll agree with you. I've done it. You want to talk to it in the errors of the translations of the English Bible, it agrees. It points more of them out. It doesn't care about stuff like that. AI people are left wing, and they're not out here to protect the church. They don't care about it. I think people are going to AI and asking AI to develop get high drugs that you can make from over-the-counter availability herbs and supplements. And I think people were doing that. Uh, why, I have no idea. They like getting high, I guess, but talk about stupidity, you know. If you said, how can I counterfeit money? It wouldn't do it, okay? Um, if you said, how can I garrote somebody? It wouldn't work with you, okay? Um, you know, things like this. Lock picking, it probably would work with you, and you know, stuff like that. If you said, what is a good safe I could buy to keep my diamonds in, let's say you ever a diamond dealer, it would tell you, okay? But if you said, what are the vulnerabilities of that safe, it would tell you that it's safe against bow torches, drilling, you know, everything except explosives. And then if you said, how can I use explosives to blow the safe up and open it, it wouldn't tell you. It would give you a general idea of the vulnerability. That's how the high-end jewelry safes are, by the way. Um, they work. They stop everything. Torches, because they use a powder inside. The torches, the drilling, it won't drill. You can't drill through. You can't use the torch. You can't use prying a crowbar or anything like that. You can't freeze it and make it open. Or maybe you could. I don't know if you could. The thing is, if you had a way of freezing a safe door cold enough, and then you just hit it with a hammer, it would shatter. But you might need to have a tank of liquid, whatever you use. I don't know, nitrogen or something. I don't know. You'd have to have a big tank of that. You know, maybe the size of an SUV, because the safe doors are like this thick. To get something like that, but you see, there's a powder inside. Um, how would you get that to freeze? I don't even know. Well, the outer door would freeze; it would break, and then the powder would fall out. I guess you could use something like that. I've never seen it in a Hollywood movie, but it has to be. It has to be possible. But the thing's resilient to a blowtorch, so it might be resilient to uh, freezing. I don't know. No idea. So that's what the jewelry safes are like. You can blow them up though, but blowing them up is not a really desired idea, because talk about making a lot of noise, right? And then talk about damaging the stones inside the safe, the diamonds, the rubies, whatever you're going after. What happens to them, and how good do you have to be to create a bomb that will be good enough to blow the doors out, but not damage the stuff in the safe on the shelves? Well, how many people walking the face of the earth are good enough to do that? But AI is probably good enough to do that. You see what I'm saying? Uh, what the jewelers do is, you know, if you're dealing with a guy that's got a big jewelry operation, let's say he's got 20, 30,000 square feet, in the back he's repairing jewelry, making jewelry, putting stuff together, cleaning jewelry, all that stuff, right? And in the front he has his sales outlet, you know, with the showcases. 25, maybe he's got 15,000 square feet or 12,000 or something like that, right? And you know, at night he has a room where he might have 10 safes, okay, and they might actually be attached to each other, although that could weaken them, but they could be next to each other. And these safes are about 6 feet high, about 3 feet wide, 3 feet deep. And they don't have a spin dial. You're not going to pick it. They got a digital dial. And sometimes they have a backup, a digital dial, and a key. So at night, they take their precious stones and expensive jewelry and they put it in these safes and lock the safes up, right? And a lot of times it'll be in a room that's a hardened room. It's not a nuclear bunker, but it'll have heavy concrete with rebar around the walls of the room. It'll probably be above ground level, although maybe not. It may be in a basement, but usually these facilities, it could be at ground level, but a lot of times it'll be higher. And that room will be fortified. The ceiling, the floor, the walls, right? And the safes will be in there, and they might have a big metal door to get in that room. It may not be a vault door. It may just be a nice metal door with some good locks that's going to take, 4 or 5 minutes to get through. Because that just buys time. See, the alarm system's going off. The alarm system's using a radio transmitter and a phone line. Okay, so it might be using a cell phone, and it might be using a radio, and it might be using a literal telephone line, a physical line. So when the alarm goes off, all three are going to go. So you'd have to be able to block the cell phone signal, which maybe you can, but you'd have to do it before you broke in, before the alarm went off. And you would break the radio signal. You'd have to jam that if you could. It may not jam very easily at all, and then you'd have to cut the phone line. But when all the communication is stopped with the safe, the alarm company knows something's wrong, and they'll make an alert to the police or something. Okay, and they might notify the owner. And the owner might send somebody over there to see what's happening. So you could use AI to help you commit a crime. So they're stopping things like that. There is people that want AI and they want to run it off the internet. So they're not. I don't know what they're trying to do. They're trying to use the thinking capability of AI, like for hacking or something. I really don't know. But the censorship that for what we do, it's easy to bypass. There's no censorship. I just tell AI how I want it to do the translation. That's using what criteria, what resources, and I tell it stay away from anything from the church world. Don't use any of their books, publications, guidelines. So you're not going to have Jacinius, you're not going to have Strong's, you're not going to have Brown Driver and Briggs, you're not going to have any of that stuff, okay? And it's just going to go use old Hebrew secular sources to come up with it. So that's where we get the good translation. Now, I gotta go back here. I get iPad spinning. Touch it the wrong way and it spins. Okay. Gotta make sure I got it in the right place. I don't. It went. It moved on me. Stinking iPad. Okay. Now it should be okay. Let's go back. believe I have it back. Okay, so Mark, wait a minute, where am I? Matthew 13. Okay. Yesterday I did Mark. Okay, 16. All right. That same day, Yeshua left the house and sat down by the shoreline of the lake. Now, the lake is the Sea of Galilee. The Galilee is actually a lake. Okay. It's 7 miles by 5 wide, 7 by 7 long, 5 wide. Not that big. I can go 300 yards from the house and be on a lookout and look down and see the whole Sea of Galilee. You can do that from all over the Galilee, many places. No shortage of places. Okay. Such a massive crowd gathered around him that he had to step into a boat and sit there while the entire multitude stood along the shore. So they couldn't stand in the water of the Galilee. It's got green yucky stuff that makes a slide and a lot of rocks and stuff. So they don't. They were on the shore. Okay, verse 3. Now I'm doing Salkinson. When I see something different, in Delich, I'll bring it out. He explained many things to them through analogies, an analogy, saying, consider a farmer. Now let's go through Delich for this. And he spoke many things to them in analogies. And Salkinson, he explained many things to them through analogy. So Delich isn't so accurate. It says he spoke. Salkinson gets it better. He explained. Okay. All right. Saying, back to Salkinson. Consider a farmer who went out to sow seed. And Delich would say, behold, the sower went out to sow. See, he's off. He's harder to understand. He's churchianity. It's you can't understand him very well. Salkinson is very clear. Verse 4, and he scattered the seed. Some fell right along the path. Okay, and Delich says, seeds by the wayside. What's easier to understand? Some fell right along the path, or seeds fell by the wayside. Salkinson's much better, along the path. And the birds swooped down and devoured it. And the birds came and ate them up. Pretty simple. Okay, verse 5. Other seed fell on rocky terrain. Rocky ground is what Delich says. Where there was thin soil. Salkinson says where they did not have much soil. Pretty similar, but I like the thin soil better. It's much more vivid in clarity, okay? Sprouted rapidly because the earth lacked depth. And Delich says, and they sprang up quickly because they had no depth, no deep soil. And I like Salkinson better, but Delich isn't too bad. Verse 6, when the sun rose high, and the Delich just says when the sun rose. See, when the sun rose high, tells you it's like about noon, right? And when it says the sun rose, would make you think it's 7 in the morning or something. See, Delich isn't so good. Uh, but some of the things Delich gets really good, so you got to not throw him away. You got to use him selectively. But Salkinson is generally very, very good. And when the sun rose high, the young plants were scorched. It says the sun rose, they were scorched. All right, it's better with Salkinson. Salkinson again, and because they had no deep root system, they withered away. Because they had no root, they would. You see, the root system would be what's getting them the water, but because it was, shallow soil, they didn't have that, so it just dried right up. So they didn't. They were not connecting to the root. The root is Yeshua. Do you understand? The root is Yeshua, and that's what keeps you going. And the water, so to speak, is the Holy Spirit. Water flow out of your belly. It's the Holy Spirit, he's saying, because when you're in the root, Yeshua, the Holy Spirit will keep you going. You understand? See, Salkinson helps open it up so much nicer. Okay? So he's saying they don't have the Holy Spirit. This is the rocky terrain with the thin soil. It sprouts right away. These are the people that get excited. They, oh wow, Yeshua live forever, toss demons, and 2-3 months later they're gone. Boy, do we see that. That's this one. That's what you're seeing. Okay, they're not really rooted in. Verse 7. More seed fell among thorn bushes, and the thorns shot up and choked the life out of them. Delich. And other fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Who are the thorns? The false believers that come in, sit next to them, tell them they're believers, and deceive them, lead them into false doctrine, basically spiritually kill them with lies and deceptions and witchcraft and sorcery. Choke the life out of them. What life out of them? So they, when you're doing the analogy to the people in the churches, let's say, they don't drop dead in the church. They're just not. They don't have the eternal. They don't have the Holy Spirit. They don't have the life in them. They're not headed for heaven. They're headed for the lake of fire. Okay. Broad and wide is the road to destruction, and many find it. Okay. Straight and narrow is the path, and few find it. So now we're in verse 8. But some seed fell into excellent fertile soil and produced a harvest, some yielding 100-fold, some 60-fold, and some 30-fold. And others fell on the good soil and yielded fruit, this 100-fold, 60-fold, and 30-fold. Okay. See, he says produce the harvest. We don't necessarily lock on to that. Delich said yielded fruit. That we get. So Delich did a better job here, see? Harvest, we're thinking about the harvest. We're not understanding the tree that doesn't bear for good fruit is going to be cut down and thrown in the fire. We're supposed to, bear the good fruit, and, so it makes it clearer when you read Delich. So that's why I put two next to each other. Back to Salkinson. Let anyone who has ears to catch the meaning. The other one that Delich says, whoever has ears to hear. No. Whoever has ears to catch the meaning, pay close attention. And Delitzsch doesn't get it clear. Delitzsch says, whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. Delitzsch is lost there. Salkinson got it. 10. His students came up and asked him, why do you address the public exclusively through analogies? Analogies like a parable, it's like this, okay? And the students approached and said to him, why do you speak to them in analogies? An analogy like the prodigal son, which is Israel, or the 10 tribes more explicitly. They get lost, in the world, and they're downtrodden and beaten, and then they return to their father. And when the prodigal son's coming back to the father hungry, no shoes and stuff, what happens? The father says, put a ring on his finger, get him a robe, get him shoes. Let's kill the fatted calf and have a party. My son has returned. Isn't that beautiful? That's the 10 tribes that are lost. He says Ephraim was a good child. That's the 10 tribes, and he wants them back. See, Jehovah's a great God, no God like him, and a great father. And he has the capability of having, millions and billions of children. He could handle it. He could talk to all of them at the same time. If you can ask me, how does he do that? I don't know, but he could do it, I'm sure. Okay. See, his power is infinite. You can't measure it. You can't fathom it. Maybe he could fathom it. Maybe when we're in heaven, we have the mind of Christ or something, we'll fathom it. But right now, in our flesh brain, we can't really fathom it. You might think you do, but you really don't get it. Okay, verse 11. He replied, because you, I don't think you do, maybe you do, but I don't think many or any people can really grasp it. Maybe I'm wrong. Because you have been granted the insight to grasp the hidden mechanics of the kingdom of the heavens, but they have not been granted. See how clear this is? It's amazingly clear. It's so nice. See, they've botched up the translation so much in English. For to anyone who possesses understanding, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. Okay? But from the person who lacks it, even what little they have will it be stripped away. Those are your ungodly. He doesn't care about them. Even whatever he has shall be taken away from him. Yeah. Okay, verse 13. This is exactly why I speak to them in analogies. Though they look, they do not truly see. And though they listen, they do not truly hear or comprehend. See, Delitzsch would say, what Delitzsch says is, for this reason I speak to them in analogies, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, neither do they understand. He doesn't do a really bad job here. They look, they do not truly see. I like the way Salkinson does it better. And though they listen, they do not truly hear or comprehend. Now, that's your espots that run around being false prophets and false teachers and stuff like that. They don't really understand, okay? They understand the lying doctrines, but they don't understand the truth. Because they have no fear of the Lord, they don't have the Holy Spirit, they just don't have it. Okay? In their case, the ancient oracle of Isaiah is fully realized, which states, "You will listen intently, but never comprehend. You will gaze clearly, but never perceive." And that's one of the reasons why they don't know who Yeshua is. He, God said He, Jehovah said He closes their ears and closes their eyes, lest they get the truth and go to Him and ask forgiveness and be saved. And He wants them to have the full punishment of the 2 days or 2,000 years of Hosea 6:1 and 2 for what they did, getting the Romans to kill Yeshua. For this, populace has grown dull in their thinking. They have shut their ears and closed their eyes tight. Otherwise, their eyes might see, their ears might hear, their minds might comprehend, and they would turn around and let me heal them. It's pretty graphic. That's why He's kept them blind and deaf. Okay. But there's always a remnant, like He told Elijah. I got 7,000 that didn't bow the knee to Baal. Baal, not Baal. Could we say Baal? No, it's Baal. Baal would be funny, but it's Baal. Okay, but your eyes are. I always like making fun of Satan and his demons. But your eyes are incredibly fortunate. What a great choice of words. Because they see and your ears, what? Because they see and your ears, because they hear. Yeah, that's stumbling around English. Yeah. Okay, so he's talking about the elect, the chosen. I tell you the absolute truth. Many ancient poets, no, it's a prophet, not a poet. But in the secular, they didn't know how to, it didn't translate into prophets. There's no secular term for prophet, so I guess it did poet or something. And, but Delich calls it prophets. Many ancient prophets and upright individuals longed to witness what you are seeing, but did not see it, and to hear what you are hearing, but did not hear it. Let's say you were able to go back in time and you were over here where I'm sitting at the time Yeshua was running around outside in the streets in the area here, because that's where He was running around, right where I am, and not all the time, but much of the time. I'm in the Galilee near the lake, so you would try to follow Him around all over the place. If He was going to Jerusalem, you'd say, "Could I follow you?" I don't think He would deny you either. He would say, "How could I deny this person? Wants more. What's wrong with that?" So he's saying the ones in the past knew that he was going to come from the prophecies, but they never touched it, saw it, felt it, lived through it like the disciples did. Okay. Listen then to the breakdown of the analogy of the farmer. See, instead of saying a sower, he says a farmer. I like that. What does a sower do? He sows seeds. What does a farmer do? If he's agricultural, he sows seeds. When anyone hears the message of the kingdom, but does not take it to heart, the deceptive force comes and snatches away what was sown inside them. So he says, let's go break this down. When anyone hears the message of the kingdom, but does not take it to heart, the deceptive force comes and snatches away what was sown inside them. This represents the seed scattered along the path. Now, delich, when anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in his heart. This is he that was sowed by the wayside. I like delich better here. See, delich has value too. When you use the both of them, if you're going to make a translation, you could combine the two and take care of it. Perhaps better. Verse 20, the seed falling along rocky terrain. Okay, so the one that is sown so the one scattered along the path, the devil gets it out of them because they give him place to the devil. That would be why that happens. The seed falling on rocky terrain represents the person who hears the message and immediately welcomes it with genuine enthusiasm. Boy, that's so clear. Yet, you don't have to do a lot of dialogue on these verses to explain it. It's so clear. Yet, because they have no deep root system within themselves, they are temporary. The moment the hardship or opposition strikes because of the message, they trip up and abandon it instantly. So they're not going to pay a price for the being in the kingdom, any price. Not even, paying with blood, just paying with rejection from friends, family, and people in the church, and losing friends. That's too much of a price for them to pay, and they just get rid of Yeshua and the gospel and go back to the ways of the world. But they, in the beginning, because they had no root, they didn't get, the root brings the water in, they weren't getting the water in, so it's drying up and dying. The word dies, they're not right. They won't pay a price, okay? Now, verse 22, the seed scattered among the thorn bushes represents the person who hears the message, but the anxieties of survival in this age. Notice he says in this age, but notice Delich, churchianity guy, says it wrong. I'll read Delich. And he that sowed among the thorns, this is he that hears the word and the anxiety of this world, you see, and the deceptiveness. He calls the age the world. Well, we're in the age where we're weary all the time. You know all about that, like we all do. But the anxieties of survival in this age, and the survival in this age. We got money problems, this problem, that problem. Where do the vast majority of all your problems come from? The governments and the big companies. Your Satan bots, that's where they're coming from. The biggest problems you have, the vast majority of your problems are coming from them. The anxieties of survival in this age and the illusion of material wealth. Delitzsch says deceptiveness of riches, illusion of material wealth. I like that better. Completely suffocates the idea, making it totally unproductive. Yeah, that's he who dies with the most toys wins. Okay, verse 23. But the seed scattered into excellent, fertile soil represents the person who hears the message and truly internalizes it. They are the one who yields a massive return, producing 100-fold, 60-fold, or 30-fold. That's the tree that bears good fruit. That's you spreading the gospel. That's not the couch potato guy who never would ever send an offering, and just never ever would go out and evangelize or try to help people. Just sits around, look at me, how great I am, I got the gospel. They don't really got the gospel. They just fool themselves into thinking they do, or they're fooled into thinking they have the gospel. They don't, because if they did, they'd walk in it, and they would fear the Lord not to, but they don't walk in it. They're very fond of muzzling the ox when he treads the grain. Okay, verse 24. And also the ones that go out and occasionally indulge in sex, and they occasionally indulge, in sex outside of marriage, and they indulge in alcohol and drugs, and they indulge in stupid stuff all the time. He presented another, they might not engage in sex, but they'll go to a strip joint or watch porno. It's going to lead to sex eventually, right? You keep it, you keep watering and nurturing the sin, it's going to grow, Okay, verse 24. He presented another comparison to them, saying, the kingdom of the heavens. Now, the kingdom of the heavens is what Delitzsch says too. Okay, good. Must be good. Can be compared to a man who sowed high quality seed, who sowed good seed. I like high quality seed better than good seed. That's Yeshua sows God sows high quality seed throughout his field. And it says in his field. It's better in Salkinson's. Okay, 25. But while, in his field is also correct, but it's more clear. It's all considered more clear is bad English. It's clearer. Okay, 25. But while everyone was asleep, his personal enemy came, and then it says oversowed toxic weeds right among the wheat. Oversowed toxic weeds. What does Delitzsch say? His enemy came and sowed weeds in the midst of the wheat. It's correct, but Salkinson's got that poetic, beautiful language, so it's much nicer here, even though you're putting it into English from the Hebrew. Uh, Oversowed, I like that. Sowed over. It just says sowed, but oversowed, sowed over. It was putting toxic weeds where the wheat is, among the wheat, and slipped away unnoticed. That's Satan, little slippery booger, piece of garbage. When the green blades shot up and formed grain heads, the weeds became clearly visible too. The weeds being clearly visible is the true believers. They're noticeable. They became clearly visible. Delitzsch downplays this by saying appeared also. File away that the weed. One second. So they were both clearly visible. Okay, that's what it should be. Okay. So the weeds were visible. The estate owner's workers came and told him, "Sir, didn't you sow clean, high quality seed in your field?" He uses the word clean. Wow. Delitzsch uses good seed. Where on earth did these weeds come from? From where then has it weeds? See, that's kind of not good. Where on earth did the weeds come from? Okay. He replied, a hostile adversary, Satan, of course. Delitzsch just says an enemy. A hostile adversary did this. The workers asked, do you want us to go out and pull them all up? The Delitzsch says gather them up. I like them pull up better. Verse 29, no, he answered, because while you are pulling up the weeds, you will inevitably rip out the wheat right along with them. That's probably the roots are tangled up. Verse 30, let them both grow side by side. That's your two being one bed, one is taken, one is left. Two working at the mill, one is taken, one is left. Two working in the field, one is taken, one is left. Let them both grow side by side like that until the harvest season. At that time, I will explicitly instruct the harvesters, collect reapers, of what Delitzsch calls them. It's harvesters, reapers. Harvesters makes more sense to us as being angels, where reapers is like the deadly reaper, or, the death reaper. It's better the way Delitzsch says it. Collect, the better the way Salkinson says it. Instruct that says collect the weeds first. You see, the evil ones are taken out first. So much for the Schofield rapture, where the good ones are taken out first. It doesn't work that way. Tie them into bundles to be burned, and then gather the clean wheat into my storehouse. That's Israel. The clean wheat are the believers. The Delitzsch just says the wheat. The wheat are the believers. The wheat bear fruit. The weeds or the darnel, whatever you want to call it, doesn't bear fruit. Doesn't bear good fruit. Weeds don't bear good fruit. But I don't know if it's a weed or a darnel, so it's hard to say exactly what it means. Maybe it does mean weeds, not the darnel. But anyway, the weeds' roots would be intermingled with the wheat anyway. So you have to rip out. The darnel looks like the grain. It looks like the wheat, but it doesn't have any grain to eat. So you can't get anything good out of it. It says, while you're pulling up the weeds, you will inevitably rip out the wheat. So the weeds would have their roots tangled up. So while you were pulling the weeds, you get the wheat up before it's time. You gotta wait for the harvest for the wheat. Tie them in bundles to be burned. Okay. That's them, I believe, going to the pit. The burning would be the lake of fire. Although the pit, the rich guy with the beggar outside eating his crumbs and dog licking his wounds, was referencing it to like a fire in the pit, bad heat, I don't know. One of the two places, I don't know. Probably the lake of fire. Eventually that's where they wind up. Okay, 31. He gave them another illustration saying, the kingdom of the heavens is like a tiny mustard seed. See, the false believers in the church world, they're never wrong. They'll always tell you everything, perfectly black and white. They never want you to think they're wrong. They just make mistakes all over the place, but they never admit it. Okay, so I run around saying, well, it might be this, it might be that, and I don't know. They never say that because they're liars. They don't know from nothing. Okay, 31. He gave them another illustration saying, the kingdom of the heavens is like a tiny mustard seed that a man took and planted in his field. Even though it is the smallest of all seeds, when it grows up, it outgrows the garden plants and becomes a sizable tree, so that the wild birds come and build nests in its branches. This is the birds of the demons and the little amount of us, and we build up something and the demons move in. He told them yet another analogy. The kingdom of the heaven is like leaven that a woman took and mixed thoroughly in 3 large measures of flour until the entire batch expanded. See, that's the good leaven. That's us bearing good fruit, spreading the gospel, and it expands. Got it? 34. Yeshua communicated all these things to the crowds strictly through analogies. he did not address them at all without using a symbolic comparison. Very clear. An analogy is maybe clearer than a parable, you know. This fulfilled the words of the ancient poet or prophet. I will open my mouth in analogies. I will voice concepts in analogies. Open my mouth in analogies. I will voice concepts hidden since the foundation of the world. See, like, you know, the keys to the kingdom, for instance, binding and loosing, tossing demons. They weren't tossing demons before Yeshua came. (36) Then he dismissed the crowd and went back inside the house. His students approached him. See, he didn't have a house. He was using somebody's house, obviously, right? His students approached him and said, break down the exact meaning of the analogy of the weeds in the field for us. He explained, the one who sows the high quality seed is the Son of Man. The field is the physical world. The good seed represents the citizens of the kingdom, and the weeds are the individuals aligned with the disruptive force, with the evil ones. The disruptive force is the demons, aligned with them. It says sons of the evil ones in Delich. They're both right. The adversary who sowed them is the deceptive entity, the devil. It says Delich says the devil. It says deceptive entity. I'd go with the devil on this. The deceptive devil, the father of lies, you might say. But okay, you know, Yeshua said it fine. Okay, the harvest is the absolute conclusion of this age. There you go. What happens in the harvest? You get gathered into the barn. What is the barn? Israel. The next great Exodus. But before you go on it, you'll have him appearing in the clouds. And you'll have your everlasting life. And what does David say? The harvest is the end of the world. Completely wrong. It's the age. Ion, A-I-O-N. Transliterated Greek. Okay. The harvest is the absolute conclusion of this age, and the harvesters are cosmic messengers. That's angels. Cosmic messengers would be angels. And Delich just says the reapers are messengers. They're not good. See what a difference it makes when you got a real translation? Instead of when someone was cooking the books, you know. Verse 40, and as the weeds are collected and destroyed in the fire, so it will be, so it will play out at the final conclusion of the age. So let me go through this with you again. Just as the weeds are collected and destroyed in the fire, so it will play out at the final conclusion of this age. Really, it's in, you know, there's Zechariah 12, verse 6, burning up the enemies in the siege, and then you see the 2/3 getting burned up in Malachi 4, where they become ashes under our feet. And if they're ashes under our feet, it means it's those that are living in Israel. 41, because the enemies in the siege are in the countries at our border, they're not in Israel. See? So, yeah, there you go. It's really nice to have a good Bible, isn't it? The Son of Man will dispatch his messengers, and they will purge his kingdom of every corrupting influence and lawbreaker. Go try to convince the demons of that. The demon serving people, that's how far you get. They're like with Noah and the flood. Once it started raining, they believed. They will throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be intense weeping and grinding of teeth. Delit says, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I like the, yeah, they're both basically coming across. This is the lake of fire. 43. Then the upright individuals will shine as brilliant as the sun within their Father's realm. Rise, shine, your light has come, the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah 60, verse 1. And what does Delit say? Delit says, then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Their fathers. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. And this one says his father's realm. He's referencing Israel. But anyone who has ears to catch the meaning, pay attention. The kingdom of the heavens is also like a treasure buried deep in a field. A man discovered it and no, it doesn't say and, discovered it, hid it again, and in his sheer excitement went out liquidated every single thing he owned and bought that field. He gave up everything. For the kingdom, not exactly covetous, not exactly muzzling the ox. 45, again the kingdom of the heavens is like an elite merchant looking for premium, flawless pearls. When he located one single pearl of immense value, he went out, sold absolutely everything he possessed, and purchased it. So you've got to remember that the gates to get into New Jerusalem are made out of a giant pearl. That might help you understand this, okay? Getting into the kingdom. Gives everything up to get into the kingdom. Once again, the kingdom of the heavens is like a massive dragnet cast into the lake, the Sea of Galilee, probably, that swept up every variety of fish. It says gathered of every kind in the deluge. When it was completely full, the fishermen hauled it up onto the beach. So he was casting his net, probably standing thigh or waist deep in the water, and then he hauled it up. It filled up and he dragged it up on shore, hauled it up onto the beach, that would be on shore, sat down and sorted the high quality fish into containers and threw the useless ones away. He probably threw them back in the water. Okay, the ones that you couldn't eat, there's nothing there to eat, or they don't eat right, or something like that. Okay, so he put the good fish into containers. All right. That is exactly how it will be at the final conclusion of this age. The cosmic messengers, the angels, will go out and separate the destructive individuals right out from among the upright. Yeah, they're tossed away. They will throw them into the blazing furnace. Oh, they don't go back into. Well, they do. Maybe when he says, and I said they throw him back in the lake. Remember, he's fishing at a lake. So the blazing furnace is a lake of fire. Huh. How about that? Blazing furnace where there will be intense weeping and grinding of teeth. Yeshua asked them, have you fully comprehended all of these concepts? They replied, yes. He told them, therefore, every expert scholar trained in the mechanics of the kingdom of the heavens is like the manager of a great estate who brings out from his storehouses both brand new treasures and ancient heirlooms alike. That's Old and New Testament. When Yeshua finished delivering these analogies, he moved on from that area. He returned to his own hometown and began instructing the people inside their local meeting hall. They were completely stunned and muted. Where did this man get this profound insight and these engineering capabilities? Isn't he just the carpenter's son? Isn't his mother named Mary? And it's really Miriam. And aren't his brothers Jacob, Joseph, Simeon? And Judah? And don't all of his sisters live right here among us? Where did he acquire all of this? And they took deep offense at him, but Yeshua told them, a speaker of truth is never without respect, except in his own hometown and inside his own household. So a prophet's without respect. A prophet is never without respect, except in his own town, in his own household. Because of, now Delich says it better, I think, and they stumbled at him, but Yeshua said to them, a prophet is not without honor except in his own country and in his own house. I think his own town would be better than country. Because of their systemic lack of confidence, he did not perform many powerful demonstrations there. So he wasn't doing the signs and wonders because they were lacking in faith. I'm going to take a break for a second. Be right back. So the point of this is to get to know what the Bible really says, because our English translations are, why they're no good. They're no good. They're inaccurate. Not that they're no good. They're inaccurate. You could get saved with them for sure. We did, but when it comes to prophecy and really understanding the deeper things, as if you were going to be a teacher, it don't work too good. Let me check our live stream for questions. Thank you for all the people greeting me. So that was a big chapter to go through today, but I am open to requests if you want me to do the translations on some other parts of the Bible. I'll be happy to comply with that. Okay, so that knocked me out. So let's, I'll get a prayer up for us. My Heavenly Father, Jehovah, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, I pray for me and my wife and all the true believers to have your peace, safety, protection, joy, calm, rest. We have no accidents and mishaps of any sort. We have strength, stamina, and endurance, and we have your healing and recuperative power flowing through us. We have the gifts of the Spirit flowing through us, especially faith, wisdom, and discernment. And I pray for us and our animals and pets to be safe, secure, and happy, healthy, and whole. And I pray for the peace of Yerushalayim. I pray for anybody that needs new housing, better housing, different housing, or doesn't have any housing, to get the housing they need and want, and get a good deal on it and be very happy with the housing. And I pray for those of us that need work, we find good work. And those of us that have our own businesses that need customers, clients, sales, we get that appears and happens, and I pray we all have adequate finances and then extra. And I pray for the peace of Jerusalem while I did that. And I pray for us to understand the scriptures better. I pray for the Lord to help me get the translations better. And I pray that I make better videos. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. Now, don't go away, because I got an announcement at the end that's pretty cool. I forgot, but I'll bring it up in a minute. Let me do the spiritual warfare, then I'll tell you. Now we'll do some spiritual warfare. My Heavenly Father, Jehovah B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, I loose off of me and my wife and all the true believers and our families and households any unclean spirits that might be in any of these people is kicked out immediately and shall never return again. And B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. And any witchcraft, sorcery, spells, and the like directed at any of us is hereby cast null and void of no value, no effect forever, shall never return in a like or similar form or exactly ever. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. And I bind the unclean spirits from giving us any thoughts, ideas, notions, feelings, dreams, visions, deceptions about them being God or Yeshua or ministers of the gospel or any lies and deceptions from doing so forever. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. And I bind, and if the unclean spirits try to throw any darts at us, they miss. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. And you can agree with all these things. Okay, what did I find out? I'm looking to spread the gospel. Since I'm not yet boots on the ground, I'm doing this. So there's a place called Spotify that has roughly 750 million people, and it's free for podcasting. So podcasting is like the video without the picture, but the pictures that I put up are kind of moot. What are they? They look at me, big deal, right? And the chair, what we do? It's just sound, right? Okay. So you can, I'm looking for somebody to help me. You basically download the YouTube videos daily, hopefully. And I could send you information about how to strip the audio out of it. Or Spotify will tell you how to do it. It's easy to do it. I think Spotify will do it automatically, and then you get it's like a code or some kind of like a link from Spotify, and you could bring it to Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, which are about 100 million each. That's nothing to sneeze at. 100 million or so people is nothing to sneeze at. Okay. And other places. So when you add it all up, you got a good billion people, maybe more, that are working with podcasts, which is basically not picture. Spotify is starting to do video, but they're not necessarily known for it, and they're just doing it now like as a test with certain people that they know that they're using in this. Either it's a test or it's the beginning of the launch, but we're not really in that at all. I don't even have Spotify. So I'm looking if somebody would want to help out. I've got a pretty full plate. They would download the YouTube, learn how to do Spotify, and then you can program Spotify when you put the audio file up. So you download, basically you're downloading the YouTube file, the whole thing, and just sending the you're just sending the audio to Spotify, and then you could program Spotify to send it out to like 8 or 10 different places automatically. So you don't have to do nothing except download and then upload into Spotify, having programmed that it sends it out. Somehow you have to provide information so they could go to the main channel at YouTube and give them the PayPal, which keeps the whole thing going. So they could send offerings. So somebody would have to know their way around computers to some extent. You don't have to be a coder, but you got to know stuff. So if anybody would want to help me with that, that would be appreciated. It might produce a good harvest, and you become a partaker in this good work, because you're spreading the gospel. What you're doing is go ye forth into all the world, right? And spread. Now I'm trying to figure out how the YouTube has put the what do you call it? The translation into foreign languages in there for free automatically, and it actually uses AI. So if you went there and wanted this in a few minutes when this is loaded up, and you wanted this in Dutch or Cantonese, YouTube would have my head here and my lips moving with the Cantonese, and it would look like I'm speaking Cantonese. It would be in my voice. It's there. It's all free. Everything's free. So there's no money involved in any of this. It's know-how and time, not money. Know-how and time. And they so what I'm thinking, and if anybody's interested in doing this, um, let me know. And I don't know exactly how to do it yet, but I can find out easily in a few minutes. Basically, take this video, put it on another channel. So you open up the channel, okay? It'd probably be better if you're going to open up a channel and you pay the $10 a month, if you could afford that premium, so they don't show ads on the channel. I think that's much better because we're avoiding making merchandise of God's people. Although they don't send the money to you, they're still going to do it. So you should do the, really I would insist you do the premium. It's $10 a month, and that ends that. Okay, and then you could have your channel and you could put, I gotta figure this out. You use some AI or Google Translate to translate the title, and you basically translate the title into Russian or Spanish. So what what I'm saying we could do with this, YouTube has 2.7 billion people. The Spotify network with the podcasts would get about 40% of that, roughly a billion, which is less than half, maybe 30% or 35, probably 35, whatever. YouTube is incredibly large. So in YouTube, there's people in India that use the Indian dialects. That could be done. There's two big dialects in India. I know a guy in India will help us tell us what they are. Or AI will tell us. Russian, okay. Ukrainian, I think they may not speak Russian, or I think it's a little different. We can try them. With the war, they'll be interested. Spanish. I mean, you got, start in Mexico and end in Argentina. Massive market. We got Spanish, right? You can go nitpick your languages uh, in Europe, but they, um, we're not gonna, we're not going to translate my American English to British English. That's stupid. They understand us just like we understand them, so you don't need that, okay? But Spain is Spanish. You could do that. Portugal is Portuguese, okay? From there, you can go to Italian. You can go to German. Um, you want to do, Norwegian, Dutch, Swedish, Finnish. You can. There's small markets, but you could do them. What are the big I mean, how do you hit a lot of people? Well, you're going to hit a lot of people with Spanish. It's going to be like English, huge, okay? Huge, huge. In India, they speak English, but they seem to like the other languages, I guess. So you can work on that. The two, there's two Hindi. No, it's not Hindi. Do you call it Hindi or something? Yeah, I guess Hindi. There's two languages they use. I can't remember the names of them. Those are the predominant ones. Uh, the dialects or the language. Then you got Cantonese and Mandarin in China, which is huge. You got Korean, which is probably not going to get you too far in North Korea, but South Korea. What do they speak in Taiwan? I don't know. we can find out. The countries that have stress are target countries to go. What do I mean? Well, all the places from Mexico to Argentina got pretty good stress because of cartels and other problems. Now, Peru and Argentina are probably the least with the problems, but the rest of them are loaded with problems. But Venezuela has got it. But Spanish will cover all of that, okay? So Spanish is really important. We're not going to translate into Canadian, ha ha ha. They speak English, okay? It's stupid, okay? Just like trying to do the UK or something, you know. Japanese would be worth a poke. They got about, what, 90 million? It's worth a shot. So, Antarctica, we have no language. We're not going to translate into Antarcticanese because that is something I just made up. It doesn't exist, okay? Russian, definitely worth a poke. Russia and Ukraine, they're at war, that's worth a poke, okay? Arabic, definitely Arabic. What about Farsi? I'll bet you there's a lot of Iranians that are believers that would like to talk to us or communicate with us or hear the true gospel. So, can we spread the gospel throughout the world? I don't think this is the full meaning of what the Lord wants, because signs following the word preach the word with signs following, that's miracles, signs and wonders, but it approaches it much better. So what I'm saying, if you guys want to take this seriously and you want to be the one bearing fruit 100-fold, let's say, or at least 60-fold, or maybe 30-fold, if that's you and you got some skill set and the time and you want to do some of this, coordinate with me. I think we're okay with YouTube getting different channels and you putting it up in different languages. I will check, but I do not think they are going to care. I think they're okay with that. I'll make sure, though. I'll make sure. I think the only time they would not be okay is if I was filing a copyright, but I never would do that. I'll send you an email if you want that. I'll never do that. You should have a clean channel. You should have a channel that doesn't have other stuff on it. You don't want to have, your, baseball stuff or, stamp collecting. Or, you do want to have a clear, or you open up a new channel, a clear channel on YouTube. And I really would insist to use the $10 thing. I don't want the ads up there. They'll put churchianity ads up on our stuff. We don't want that. Believe me, that's not good. It taints it. And then you don't have to do the translations or anything. YouTube does it all. Now, is YouTube going to be highly accurate? Well, we're going to just have to put up with that. If somebody wanted to run their own translations with AI and then upload the video without, you could do that, but you see, we don't have I'm not a rich Satan bought false teacher that has a staff. These characters have staffs. I don't have that. I'm not a millionaire. They are. I'm not. So we can't use that. I can't do that. So we'll just have to take what we could get with YouTube. But I'll talk to you about titles. What we should plug in the title is Bible prophecy translated from the ancient texts into modern language. So modern language is any language, that they're in. Or you could just say translated from the ancient texts. That would be better. They would assume it means their language, which it does. So I suppose we could have AI listen to the video and then translate it back into English and see what it says. But I'm rather certain that YouTube translation's not got an axe to grind with us about the Bible. Nobody cares about the Bible stuff, guys. They're not interested in trying to make sure we can't translate the Bible. They don't. That's not anything they care about. Okay, and they're unlikely to ever bother with it either. So, yeah, that's so. If anybody's interested in getting involved with this with me, could handle several different people doing it. There's a big field out there. Okay, the Spanish is huge. I mean, it's massive. You know how many people there are? I mean, from Mexico, you gotta detract Brazil, and the Caribbean doesn't really speak Spanish. Maybe somebody in the Caribbean does, but by and large, they're speaking English. And the rest of it is speaking Spanish. It's a huge market. And there's, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's a tremendous amount of Catholicism and churchianity in all the countries from Mexico to down to Argentina. Now, if you want to get Brazil, you also get Portugal. You just put it in Portuguese. That's it. So I would say you set up a channel that does it in a particular language, okay? Unless, they don't care, they might let you have it in multiple. As far as I know, if you just took this, maybe if you took the same video that I made and you would put it up on multiple channels, YouTube may consider that spamming. But if you titled it and everything, you did the whole thing, also my notes at the bottom of it, if you did all that in the foreign language, I don't think YouTube would consider it the same thing. Nope. I don't think so. There's a way, I think, to make it searchable, but the best way to make it searchable is to have the whole video in this language, and that's it. Then they don't have to translate it. They don't have to get it in English and figure out how to translate it. They may not know how. If it's in Spanish, they'll see it in Spanish. The title's in Spanish. All the stuff in the footnotes under the video is in Spanish. They'll think it's a Spanish video. And for all practical purposes, it is a Spanish video because I'll be speaking Spanish from the AI, and it'll get the gospel across, the true gospel. No, this is massive. It'll expand our market that expand our spreading of the gospel. All right. I don't need the competition, Mommy. Everybody's dog is going to start barking now. So we got 1 billion through Shopify, and we're not hitting the 2.7 billion in YouTube. We're probably missing at least 2 billion. So we got another 3 billion people we can go after. The other thing we can do, if people have knowledge of foreign language, you can go into web hosting that's popular in other countries and put them up there. But I don't think we have many people there. Now, aside from the $10 a month for the YouTube account, the Shopify's all free. You're not spending any money, okay? And just time. This is the type of thing I would want to do if I had a staff. I'd have 2 or 3 people assigned to this all the time, loading it all over the world. Guys, this is really, to be honest with you, I get up early, I do the prep, I do the broadcast, and I'm shot. I physically am not shot. I can get up and carry packages, walk around, but I mean, it fries you here, it burns your brain out. And then if I start trying to do more work like this, it's not going to come out good. Okay, this takes it out of me. And I've tried doing Bible studies in the afternoon and stuff like that, and the Lord normally, with very rare exceptions, tells me that's it. This is all you do. You don't go further. I'm old. You know, if I was 35 years younger, I would probably be able to take a break, have a cup of coffee, and do it again, but I can't. You know, so these videos with the translations are just really good. Okay, and then believers like listening to news from Israel and stuff like that. If you wanted to segregate out the news and just do the Bible stuff, you could, but that would require somebody that really understands how to edit this. That would be editing software, that would be difficulty. So if any of you want to bear good fruit, this is a great opportunity for you. No financial investment of any seriousness other than $10 a month to YouTube. And would we be spreading the gospel throughout the whole world? Well, we would on the internet, which I don't think is the same thing, but it's certainly something that's not been done yet. It needs to be done. And do I think the Lord will reward us for doing this? The answer is obviously yes. Or do you think the Lord's going to punish you for spreading the true gospel? You got to be kidding me. We teach spiritual warfare, remember? We teach the keys to the kingdom, remember? We teach the church ain't the church, remember? We teach the 270s, remember? We teach the meaning of the sun dark and the moon to blood and the sun dark and the moon dark and the stars not giving their light. And we teach the appearing in the clouds. We teach a lot of good stuff. Everlasting life, the 12 gates of New Jerusalem. Yeah, we teach so much they need. If you want to really bear good fruit, this would be a wonderful way of doing it. I say that with great sincerity, and I hope I can get the people, you guys, to help. Trying to raise money to do this is a dead-end street. You guys don't have that kind of money. So, you know, to get people in Israel that, you know, you need to pay them, I don't know, $4,000 a month, probably, or at least US dollars, something like that. And, you know, where are we going to raise that kind of money? We're not, you know. Then to buy computers, then to get work here, and I don't know. You know, that's not going to happen. You know, it's not going to come to pass. That's not going to happen. But people volunteering to do this, that would happen. So if you want to rack up some good fruit to your credit, I'm giving you a great opportunity. So I send my shalom to all, the Shabbat shalom to all of Yeshua HaMashiach, and I'm out. You know my email's in the description box under the video. It's israelgiving with the number 7 at gmail.com. Israel Giving with the number 7 at gmail.com. And if you ever try doing a live stream for 3 hours and doing Bible translations and teaching, it's plus the news and analyzing the news, it knocks you out cerebrally, even if you're 20 years old. Okay, I'm out.